Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey there, hi there, ho there, hey y'all, aloha. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope life is treating you well. Hope you got a little shop time in this weekend. Ah, man. It's been a week. Let's just say that. We ended up with about a week's worth of rain, and yesterday was the first clear day we've had in a while. And now we're in that little gray area where don't even have the mini split turned on. It's warm enough to be comfy, but not so hot. I need AC. And Barry Lane is saying no audio. Mark, anybody else not hearing me? Let me make sure I've got everything turned on. Can y'all hear me? Are we good? Can you hear me? Kurt says, Barry, I hear him. Yep, sound is fine. Okay, audio is fine. Try refreshing your browser, Barry. I would say that, except you wouldn't hear me say it. Okay, so we gotcha. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see. My train of thought just left the station on another track. That's all right. We'll take care of it. In the great Mark Lindsay CNC health journey, I discovered something about shingles about a week and 3 days ago, and that is that when you think you've got it whipped, you don't. I was feeling great, feeling fine. I had been off the medication for about coming up on 2 weeks and decided I needed to get some work done around here. So I proceeded to go out and move about a half a ton of crushed granite into a walkway and patio area we have set up. And that reduced my immune system just enough to where it came right back. So I had a new outbreak starting in my shoulder and working down under my right arm. So what that did was put me back to square one. I'm back on the meds, full strength, and everything has been postponed until I come off of these. Went to the doctor last Wednesday, and he said, yeah, hard physical labor like that will make it flare right back up, and it sure did. So it's working on the nerves from coming off of my spinal column right at C5 and now C4 as well, for those of you who are into the numbers. All of this to say is get the vax. Get the vax. You do not want this. It's coming up on, it's just past now 13 months. Don't mess with it. Get the vax. It's just not worth it. So today the topic is going to be a kind of a follow-up on the distort tool. My brain had just shut off. The distort tool that we talked about last week or a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember which. And it comes from channel member Barry Lane, and he says, a possible topic for a live session. In the spirit of the distort tool and moving letters along a curve, can you also move objects or clip art on a curve? Okay, he has a couple of questions here. We'll get on to the 3D content first. The answer to that, Barry, is kind of. And it's going to depend on what you have and what you're trying to do. Let me explain. I've got a session of Aspire open here, okay? And I'm going to go into the clip art, and we'll go down here and we'll get our buddy Wally Gator. I'll double click him to put one in the center of my project, and I'm going to hold down Shift and resize him about like so. And we'll come back over to the design tab, and I've got Wally selected. I'll go into the distort tool. I'm going to use a bounding box. I don't have a curve drawn. I will do one on a curve in just a minute. And we'll click apply. Now we come down here to where I can edit the envelope, which is the bounding box here. And I can bring this down, make him look taller and fatter, a little bit longer. And we'll bring this back here a little bit, make him a little bit longer, make him look a little bit more imposing. All right, so all of that being done by editing the envelope, using the standard node editing options to modify the distortion envelope. The standard editing options being some of the options that are available in node editing. Now, what I can do is I can mirror horizontal, vertical, or exit node edit mode. I can't insert a point. I can delete a point. I can smooth a point if I have a point selected, but I don't have one selected. So we mirror horizontal. Nothing happens. Right click. I can change this to a Bezier, to an arc. I can insert a point. All right. So I've inserted a point. Now I can move that around a little bit. I guess I was right-clicking on the wrong thing. Straighten out your spine, Wally. There you go. Now you don't look so fat. You just look like you have a bigger mouth. All right. So the point is that you can distort 3D components. Now, I have put him into an envelope. I've distorted the 3D model. I can close this, but it's not complete. I can't edit him now because he's still in the transitional mode. With him still selected, I can go back into distort mode, distort tool. I have to bake the distortion to make this change permanent. Okay? So we'll go bake distortion. Component must be baked before editing. Okay, continue. Okay. Now Wally's been baked. And I know how wrong that sounds, believe me. If I go over to my component tree, I see they've added the word baked to the alligator title. So now I can come through and I can close this and I can do any editing that I want to do. Or right click, component properties. Now I can adjust shape height. I can adjust a base height. I can fade. I can tilt. I can do all of that. I could not do that unless it was baked. It would not let me do that. So now I can edit it. That's where I'm getting at. All I would be able to do without it being baked would be change the combine mode. Well, there may be a couple of other things I could do, but most of the editing would not take. Okay. Now let's draw a vector. Let's come up here and I'm in straight line mode. So I click a start point, tap the letter S to go into a curve. And we'll create a curve. And that looks good. We'll accept that curve there. Close it. With that curve selected, hold down Shift, select Wally. I'm going to come into the distort tool. Okay. I want to distort him above a single curve. I've got him selected. Now I need to select my bottom edge curve, which is this vector here. Hold down Shift, select, bottom edge curve, OK. And I can apply. That's going to adjust Wally to match that contour, whether he wants to be or not. But we go back into node edit mode because we're down here in edit envelope. We can adjust these slightly. Make them a little longer. Make this one a little bit shorter. Just doing minor adjustments. Make that curve a little bit different. Give him a kink in the tail. And drag that one out and up slightly. Yeah, he needs a chiropractor bad. Okay, my point is that you can adjust along a curve, then come in and make minor adjustments. Once again, we have to bake that distortion in order to use it. Close that. If we're done, the vector is no longer needed. Come down into the component tree, and it is just simply updated Wally after our last modification. Go back to the design tab. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Wally's been through a lot. Now, this is an Aspire. Let's go into a version of VCarve and let's check it out. So I'll go ahead and I'll draw a line, a vector. Click, tap the letter S. So we're doing a curve. Do another curve. And we'll call that good. All right, now, clip art. Unfortunately, Wally Gator is in Aspire only. There is different clip art for Aspire than there is for VCarve. Everything you have in VCarve is in Aspire, but Aspire has more models. So instead of Wally Gator, we'll go for Billy Bass. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to adjust Billy. And go from there. All right. And go back out to the Design tab. And I've got him selected. We'll do Bounding Box first. Then we'll come up here to the Distort tool. And we see Invalid Selection. Distorting components is not supported. Distorting 3D components is not available in VCarve Pro or desktop. And that's because it, at the end of the day, creates a new model. And VCarve will not create a new model. So even if you go to above a single curve, click off, select the curve, select Billy Bass, distorting components is not available. So, the answer is yes, you can distort 3D components in Aspire, but not in VCarve. So, we'll get out of that. Delete. We'll draw another curve. Accept that vector. Now, can you distort objects on a curve? And again, I'm in VCarve Pro now. I'm not in Aspire. And the answer to that is yes. You can take a closed vector, an object of whatever type, hold down Shift, go into distort mode. The vectors are valid. I can distort in the bounding box. I can go above a single curve and we'll apply. And it distorted that rectangle along that curve. But again, I still have all my nodes here. I can edit and change things around should I want. I can move that around should I want. I can bring that up, move that around. Any handle, I can change it. I can make this, I can right click and make that a straight line should I want to. I can select this and make this a straight line if I want to. I can right click and turn this into an arc. All of that. All of that. So again, I have to bake this distortion once I'm finished. So we'll bake that. It's done. I can get rid of, close it. I say, close it. I come out of node editing. I can get rid of that vector as it's no longer needed. Wrong vector. There we go. And my distortion is complete. So yes, you can distort objects. More than just text, you can distort open or closed vectors in the software. You cannot in VCarve distort components because at the end of the day, you're creating a 3D model, and you can't create a 3D model in VCarve. So, Butch, you've been eating the green crayons again, haven't you? But I told you to stay out of them. They're not ripe. It appears that they have psychotropic properties. Okay, let's see here. We have a couple of other questions. 8 Center is wondering, how do you mirror nodes for making better mandalas? Now, I am going to assume that you're talking about mirroring a pattern. When you get into a mandala, you've got a lot of repetitive features and elements. Let's play here just a second. I need something that's gonna, I'll go ahead and I'll make another curve here that's gonna have a lot of points. And this is nothing that I would want to play with. It's got a lot of points. Let's go into node editing by tapping the letter N on my keyboard. And we see how many points I have here. Now, if I want to mirror the nodes, let's say I want to mirror these 3 nodes, I can select, whoops, Control Z, that's not what I meant to do. I can select those 3 nodes, box select them, right click, and I can mirror horizontal or I can mirror vertical. Well, let's mirror them horizontal. Well, it won't let me do that because I don't have any kind of vectoring out here. Let's try it again. Right click, hello, right click. Mirrors or horizontal is, I'm going to have to check into this, 8th Center. I'm going to have to check into this. Maybe I don't understand how they work. Maybe I don't understand how that works. Click on that, hold down shift, click on that, hold down shift, click on that, hold down, right click, mirror horizontal. Nope. Okay. Let me work on that. Let me work on that for you. That is something that would be intriguing to a lot of people. That's a good topic to get into. Okay. It was to mirror on multiple copy and paste jobs. Okay. Now, what you can do, let me change this around just a little bit. Come out of node editing mode. And I'm going to create an arc from here to here. I'm going to come out, There. All right. Now, if I select this, I've got this quadrant done of my quote-unquote mandala. I've got this quadrant done. I can come up and I can mirror the entire thing. Clicking on that, I want to flip about the job center, which is my X0. And I want to flip it horizontal. I want to create a mirrored copy. I forgot that. I want to create a mirrored copy. Now I'll flip that horizontal. Now I can select all of this. And with both of these check marks, I can flip vertical. And now I have my completed quote-unquote mandala. This arc does not make a perfect circle. No, it doesn't. But you get my point. If you get 1/4 of your mandala completed, you can then simply mirror everything. However, what you need to remember is these are all still separate vectors. They are not joined. So you'll have to come along and select them all. Close and join them. So we get one closed vector after joining. Now we've got that taken care of. The same would be true if you had half of a design here along your Y0 line. Say you've got half of a star here and you've got some circles here that are increasing in size. You would have to select those when you mirror everything, then come back, select all of these on above and below your Y0 line, and then join them as well. So that would work out really, really well for your situation where you're trying to make a mandala. So I know you can do mirrors like this, but this was specific to node editing where moving one moves the other. Let me work on that, okay? Now, as far as moving multiple nodes, yes, you can. Let's go with this one for the sake of argument. Got it selected. And I'll tap the letter N to go into node editing. And we'll select these nodes here. And click. And I can just grab one and drag, and all three of those nodes move. Now, they also change their radius because they were moved. You see, these are no longer nicely rounded like they were. Control Z. They're not nicely rounded like they were. Control Y to redo it. And we've got more of a point situation going on here. And that's simply because of how tight the radius is. This radius was a lot larger than these two. So, yes, you can move. You can't move. You can move, but I won't say you can't mirror nodes. Let me work on that. So let me go back to Barry's email here. He says, I use VCarve Pro. Okay, so that means you cannot distort 3D components. Sorry, but you can do 2D objects. I use VCarve Pro, clip art, 2D games layouts, cribbage board, oval, 12 by 12. Okay. Let me select all of this. And we'll get rid of it. And I'll go into clip art, 2D game layouts, cribbage board oval, 12 by 12. There we go. All right. So I have that. I'm all set. Let's see. I was thinking that if one ever needed to scale the size, then you run into the issue that the peg holes would also change sizes. Would the answer be to create your own array of holes, then work with them to arrange them along your circle, square, oval after you've created the size you want? All right. When we get into scaling, let me check something here. Oh, thank you. All of the holes are grouped. That is a major pain if they are not grouped. If you ever go to make a cribbage board, group the holes. Otherwise, you're going to be selecting over and over and over again. All right. So let's select all. We've got all of our vectors selected, and we're going to scale it up. My material size is 16 by 16, so what I want to do is I want to go link XY, keep that selected, and I want to go to 15.5. And I'm going to apply, and I've increased the size. Now, all of these holes, as you pointed out, Barry, they've increased in size as well. So I'll select them. I'll go back into set object size. And right here, I'm going to scale items individually. And I'll select that. I think I have to ungroup them. Let me close that. Yes, I do have to ungroup them. So I just tap the letter U, and that ungroups all of them. Now we'll go into set selected object size, and I'm going to scale items individually, and we see how that is changed. I want these to be 1/8 inch in diameter. So I'll go 0.125, click apply, and it has rescaled all those holes to 1/8 of an inch. I'll close, and before I do anything else, I'm going to tap the letter G on my keyboard to group those again. Okay? So, once you have scaled up your cribbage board to whatever you want, select them, ungroup them, rescale them back down to the size you want. So scaling the items individually, but again, they have to be ungrouped to do that. Then once you have rescaled those holes, hit G on your keyboard, and that will group them again. So, Kurt Crafty Jan says, Butch, I always put peg holes on their own layer. So do I. Then I can duplicate the layer, lock it, and hide it. Yep, same here. That way, if I ever goof up and delete a bunch or mess them up somehow, I have them. Let's see here. Butch says, scaling circles, crib boards, going from 1/8 inch to 3/16 holes, grouping saves a lot of time on layout and toolpaths. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Saves a lot of time and a lot of frustration because, again, then you've got to go in and start selecting all these son of a guns. But there's another cheat to that. You just hold down the control key, tap the letter. Come on, I have to select here. Yep, hold down the control key, tap the letter A, and that selects all the vectors. Now, hold down shift and deselect the vectors that you don't want to select. Now you can group all these. And then, again, put them on their own layer. Right click, move to, layer. Oh, they're already on another layer. Great. Vectric has taken care of that for us. So I can come up here and look, and there they are. peg holes, V-grooves, molding vectors, and the profile cut. They've already done it. All we have to do is get in and play with them. So the peg holes are on their own layer already. That's a major time saver as well. And we have room to put a 3D component out here. So back to your email, Barry. And this will be the last one here. Another thought I had, if you created a line of holes in a pattern and then wanted to bend them along a wavy line, what is the solution on this project? Okay, let's come back over here. We're going to get rid of the cribbage board. And we're going to delete. And we've created a bunch of holes in a pattern. We're going to go with some 0.25 inch holes. I don't know what kind of pattern you're thinking about, Barry. But let me back off of this for just a second. No, I will. I got to create one hole. So we're going to go with the 1/4 inch radius, 0.25, and we're going to put it right here off the material. Close. And now we'll make our wavy line. Boom, 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 boom. And accept that. Close. Now, what I can do is I can create an array of these circles along this line. If I know how the distance between the circles I want, then I can do that. If I know how many circles I want, I can do that. If I know how many circles I want and the spacing between them, we're going to see if we can do that. So I've got my vector selected. I've got my circle selected. I'm going to come down here to copy along vectors. Copy the first object. That would be my first object. I selected them backwards. Copy the first object along remaining vectors, plural. So we'll go into here. Select object to copy, followed by one or more vectors to create copies along. I did. I selected my object first, and there's my vector. Now, do I want the distance between copies, or do I want the number of copies? So if I know I want a distance of a 1/2 inch, what it's going to do is it's going to take that circle and it's going to figure out how many it can put along this vector 1/2 inch apart. So let's select that. I've got them both selected. Align the objects to the curve. That means more if it's any shape other than a circle. Create copies on a new layer. I'm going to turn that off just to make it easier. Reverse direction, I don't need to worry about that. And I click copy. And that put as many holes as possible along that vector, maintaining that 1/2 inch distance. Now, let's look. Let's see something. Let's close this. Let me get out my dimension tool. And let's see, is that a 1/2 inch on circle? Or on center, rather. That is close to, let's Control Z. Let's go with horizontal dimension. I want here, and I want here. And not quite 1/2 inch. But we also now know it definitely wasn't from edge to edge. Now, that's not nice. Let's go back into, we'll also Control Z to get rid of all those circles. And let me take a look at why it did that. No, there is no tolerance. Wonder why it didn't force ½ inch. Because that. Oh, because I forced even spacing. That's why. Okay, so I shut off force even spacing. Now let's copy. Close. Grab my dimension tool and let's see now. I want horizontal dimension. Still not 0.4602, or still not a ½ inch. Now we're closer. We're closer, but we're still not a ½ inch. Nope, close but no banana. Intriguing. I'm gonna have to check that out. Let's get rid of those. Control Z, 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 Z. Select my circles, select my vector. I'm going to have to check that out. There's a tolerance in there somewhere that I'm going to have to find out where that tolerance is and see where we can adjust it. Instead of forcing a distance of a ½ inch, let's go with the number of copies. Say I want 12 instances. Okay, 12 copies. It's going to put 12 copies along this circle and let the distance between them be what they are. We'll copy, and there we go. We've got 12 circles along that curve. Control Z. Let's make it 24 and copy. And you can keep going right along. Control Z. 48. Copy. And 96. They will even overlap circles. And this can create some pretty cool effects. All right? This can make some real cool effects. Close this. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. We can go swing here. Do a V-carve tool path. I'm going to leave everything alone here. And calculate. I'm going to have, I know I've got overlaps. I don't care about that. That's part of the design. Continue anyway. Ignoring one unsuitable vector, which is the straight open vector. Okay. And now what we'll do is we'll preview it. And that's the effect we get. It's actually pretty cool. Let me reset the preview. Go back into that toolpath and let's change over to a, let's go with a 60-degree V-bit. There we go. Select that. And we're going to calculate. Continue anyway. I know you're ignoring the open vector. Now we'll preview that. And we've got a much deeper carve. It is going 0.2165 max depth, which looks pretty cool. Jim Brown says now use it as a texture. That would be cool. That would be cool. You know, Jim? You could use that as a texture. If you did that in a straight line and then made texture out of that, that would look real cool. Man, so you guys come up with some great ideas. So, I hope that answered your question there, Barry. And keep questions like that coming. That's how I get ideas for these live streams. So keep them coming. I really do appreciate them. Let's get back over here. I had a question um, from Bruce Malmstrom about tools that can be made for the CNC or made with the CNC. And as I mentioned to him, that list is mighty long. Now, the first thing I would say is you need to identify what kind of tool you're talking about. Are you talking about a jig or fixture for a specific tool? I mean, there are all kinds of fixtures that I can think of that you could use on a table saw with your table saw fence. A tenoning jig that'll hold a piece vertically and allow you to cut a tenon on your table saw. That could be made with the CNC. Something as simple and stupid as sacrificial push sticks. And you can see this one's been through a lot. They can be made on the CNC. Auxiliary tables, straight edging jigs. I have a small straight edging jig that's currently under the CNC now, but basically it's got two vertical hold down clamps that I got at Harbor Freight for, I want to say they were $3 a piece when I bought them. It's been a few years. So knowing Harbor Freight, they're $8.99 now. Not sure that push stick is going to be safe for much longer. No, it's retired gracefully. It's sitting over here where it can't hurt me or anybody else. I'm just too cheap to throw it out. And it's also a reminder that things happen when you least expect them. I've got two others. These are the ones that I actually use. And you can see I use them to cut thin strips. So I get right up on the blade with these. And I prefer this kind of push stick because the motion forward going through the blade, if my hand slips or something happens, my hand is pushing forward above the blade. It's not pushing down into the blade like some of the long sticks I see people using. Those things, I don't like them at all. I have more control with this. This heel right here grabs hold of the edge of the stock, and this is sitting down firmly along a length of about 10 inches. And this is my preferred push stick. And I cut a bunch of these out of a scrap from a shelf, a plywood shelf, and, pre-finished helps a lot. So yeah, that push stick was gracefully retired. But I made a straight edging jig, as I was saying, to where I can put it up against my fence, put a piece of material under it, or in it, clamp it down, and guide that up against the fence, and it straight edges the outside edge of a warped piece of stock or a piece of a plywood scrap that's round. I can cut a nice straight edge on it. And you cut that, I can cut that with the CNC. That way I know, exactly where I've drilled the holes or put marks for the holes with a V-bit for drilling, for mounting those clamps. I can add a handle. I can cut out a handle. I can cut out two handles, one forward and one back, and stand to the outside of the fence or the inside of the fence away from it and guide it through behind the fence. And anything that wants to, piece of scrap that wants to catch the blade, throw it back out that way. It's, 2 feet away from me. The number of tools and jigs that you can make with a CNC router is just, it's unlimited. If you want to make an auxiliary drill press table that you can incline, or something else I've seen, you can even put in, if you have access to, everybody has access to a nice sized chunk of threaded rod, you can actually make handles clamp down your auxiliary drill press table and make it more like a machinist table where you can move your fence by turning those handles on your on the upper table. It's a lower table you clamp to the fence, and an upper table that you actually drill on. Replaceable inserts, zero clearance inserts for your table saw or your band saw, an auxiliary table or a resaw fence for your band saw. I mean, the list, it just goes crazy. What do you want to make? Squares, templates. You have a tabletop that you can't get, you have a table that you can't get under the CNC and you need to cut a 2-inch radius. You can make a 2-inch radius template on the CNC that you can clamp to that tabletop and then use a top bearing, yeah, this is a bottom bearing, but a top bearing router bit in a hand router and follow that template and get you a nice 2-inch radius. I mean, it sounds cliche to say it, but it is the truth. It's your imagination is the only limit. I mean, we're talking about center finders for round stock, center finders for square stock. You can just drive yourself nuts. There are so many tools. Squares, as I said, for any size. Contours. You want a specific contour in a bow front cabinet or something like that. You can create that contour on the CNC, mount that template to the top of your bow front cabinet, and then cut that contour with a top bearing router. Or if it's not already mounted, you can use a bottom bearing router. Guide bushings, whatever you would like. There are so many things that can be made with the CNC router. And that this is where the CNC shines, because you have accuracy and repeatability. If you want to put clamps on something as simple and silly as a straight piece of plywood, that you can hold down a piece on the CNC table so you can put a keyhole where you want it. That can be done on the CNC router. That way you know that edge is perfectly square or perfectly straight. There's no wavy in there. And you didn't have to sand it. So, I mean, it's 100% up to you. I think before we talk about jigs or fixtures, I think what needs to be discussed is the need. What do you need? Are you trying to hold down a specific piece of material of a specific size? Then a fixture is the way to do that. And let's be honest, the difference between a jig and a fixture is subtle, but it's there. A jig is generally taken to the tool, whereas no, a jig is used where the tool is taken to the item. A fixture holds the item and the tool comes to it. Be that table saw. You're holding a piece of stock to straight edge it. That's a straight edging fixture. A jig, like a template that you put on no, that is a jig, because you're taking the blade is the tool. You're taking the work to the tool, not the tool to the work. So that would be a jig. Yeah, a template that you clamp to a tabletop and then use a hand router to cut that radius on the corner. That's a jig. So, I mean, it's a subtle difference, but it's there. And with the accuracy and repeatability of a CNC router, if you've got 15 of the same size project and you want to put a keyhole on the back of them, you can create a fixture where you can nest that piece in there, clamp it down, hit cycle start, cut that keyhole, CNC moves out of the way, take that one out, put the next one in, clamp it down, cycle start, comes in, cuts the keyhole, picks up, moves out of the way. I mean, you've just mechanized your entire process. For repetitive work, jigs and fixtures are the way to go. Or mundane tasks like cutting out push sticks or like table saw blade inserts or bandsaw replaceable inserts, or even a replaceable center on your drill press where you do all of your drilling to help prevent chip out. Steve says a jig is usually mobile and a fixture is usually set in a fixed place. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So, all right. Let's see. We had some other questions here. Let me take a look. Martin Miller says, I made a V-carve flag. It's not carving deep enough. The first one I did was okay. What am I doing wrong? You may not be doing anything wrong. I'm going to ask you, generally speaking, a couple of things will cause a V-carve not to carve deep enough. Number one is a bit with a shallow angle. If you're using a 90-degree V-bit and it's not carving deep enough, go to a 60. If that's not carving deep enough, go to a 30. Be warned, however, you may have to start using a flat depth with steeper angles. Otherwise, it'll cut all the way through. Don't ask me how I know that. V-carve and Aspire will both give you a warning that that's going to happen. Believe it. I didn't believe it. Believe it. To prevent that, you can use a flat depth. If that's not the case, make sure you're setting your zero correctly. If you are setting your Z0 to the machine bed, make sure you're setting it to the machine bed. If you've got it set to set Z0 from the material surface, make sure you're setting it there. Also, make sure your collet is nice and tight around that bit shank and that bit didn't shift up. Make sure your material is flat. The best way to ensure that is to run a surfacing pass over that material before you do your V-carve. That way you know it's nice and flat. And what I'll do, got a piece of scrap here. What I'll do is I'll just take a pencil and just draw a bunch of squiggly lines on it like so, and then surface it. And if I see those lines, drop it down about 20 thou and do it again until I get it nice and smooth. Then do the V-carve. Because if you have a higher area over here where you set your Z0, or a high spot in the middle where you've set your Z0, or if that material is cupped, warped, or twisted in some way, where you set your Z0, this may be a little bit higher than the area where you're carving. And you don't have to set your Z0 at that bottom left corner if that's where you set your XY0, or in the center if that's where you set your XY0. You do not have to set your Z0 in the same place you set your XY0. In fact, a good percentage of the time I don't. I just set my Z0 wherever my touch plate lands and go from there. But again, just run a quick surfacing tool path over that and then V-carve. and you'll get a lot much better result. Another, make sure that collet is nice and tight and your bit didn't slip up in the collet. Make sure your collet and the bit shank are nice and clean. Even if it is tight, it may have slipped up in the collet. Those are about the only things that I can think of that would cause a V-carve, especially if you've already done it once and it did it good. Also check to make sure you're using the correct bit, because that's one reason why I don't save G-code. Is because if I cut this with a 60-degree V-bit and I come back and I want to do it a little bit bigger with a 90-degree V-bit, I don't need that 60-degree V-bit G-code, and I don't want to confuse myself with it. So I use G-code once and then delete it. I get rid of it. I don't trust it because I can't trust my memory. I generate G-code for every project, even if I've done that project 100 times. There are two exceptions to that, and that is I'm going to cut multiples of the same thing. Then I will keep reusing the same G-code, but as soon as I finish the last one, it's gone. The other two exceptions are my keyhole G-codes. I have one that's a 1-inch tall vertical and one that's a 2-inch wide horizontal. I save those G-codes and I use them over and over and over again because they work. They're not dependent on the project. I can put a keyhole anywhere and use that G-code. So, let's see here. So I hope that answers that question. And if it doesn't, then what you might want to do is reach out to your machine manufacturer and ask them if they have any ideas. So, okay, here, Wade Custance asks, when working in layers, if I group items from 2 layers, they both end up on the same layer. Do they both end up on? When working in layers, if I group items from 2 layers, they both end up on the same layer. Are you asking or are you telling? Let's look at this. Let's go back over here into the software. We'll reset the preview. We'll get rid of that. Delete this. We'll close, get out of preview, come back over 2D view, got all selected, and we'll delete all that. Let's go back to clip art and get that oval cribbage board. Go back to design tab. Now I have, let's see, let me get into my layers. Layer 1 is the active layer. We turn off the peg holes, the V grooves, the molding vectors, and the profile cut. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the peg holes and the profile cut. And let's see this. See how this works there, Wade. Let's see here. We'll select those two and tap the letter G to group them. Now, we'll go to layer. We'll turn off peg holes. I still see them. We'll turn off profile cut, and I still see them. I'm working on layer 1. It has grouped them. Let's turn on peg holes, make that active, turn off layer 1, and we see they're gone. They did do that. Okay. Wade says, I'd like for it not to do that. What it's going to do, if you group 2 items on separate layers, it's going to do that. And you are choiceless. That's what it's going to do. And the reason for that is, what it's going to do is it's going to put it on the layer you have active. Now, the only way you can get it to not do that is basically put those vectors, all those vectors, on the same layer. If you're grouping them for a reason. So, let me ask you this. Why are you grouping them, Wade? Why are you grouping objects on two different layers? That doesn't make sense to me. Is it because you want them to run during the same tool path? Because you can do that in the tool path thing. You can group the tool paths. Or is it some other reason you want to use? I don't know. Boo. Okay. Well, now I'm going to look into that a little bit deeper and see is there a way that that can be turned off. But still, that brings about that question: why are you grouping things from different layers? And I'll wait for Wade to answer that. Ah, man. So, probably should group items on each layer first. Yes. Yes. Probably should group items on each layer first. Yes. Remember, if you have more than one layer visible and you group items, they're going to be grouped onto the layer that is active. So if I have all the peg holes visible, but layer 1 is the active layer, then I group those peg holes. It's going to put those on layer 1 because that's the active layer. Now, after they're grouped, let's see here. I got them all selected. Ungroup. I can take these and move to layer peg holes. Okay. Now I can take that, move to layer profile cut. And now, when I turn off peg holes and profile cut, they go away. So, yes, if you group things on from different layers, they will get put on the active layer. That's why it's really important to pay attention up here. That you're working in the right sheet, you're working in the right layer, and you're working on the right level when it comes to 3D components. And the right level being, come down here to the component tree, we have level 1. You can add more levels. You need to make sure that you're working in the correct level when you do things. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I've got some beautiful beef ribs on the smoker, and I want to make sure the temperature isn't running away. It shouldn't be. We're chugging right along in the ugly drum smoker. All right. Channel members, tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do. I'm not 100% certain. I think we talked about something last week. I'm going to go back and check it out to make sure. If not, that's where you come in. You always have great questions. You always keep me straight. You always make sure that we have some pretty good content. So if you have an idea, a suggestion, get it to me. If not, I'll come up with something. And also, channel guests. If you want a guest on, let me know. I've reached out to a couple that you folks have mentioned. Let me know. Give me some more. And I'll reach out and we'll get them on. Remember the live stream tomorrow. I haven't set it up yet. That's why you haven't received a link. I'll do that as soon as I get back in the house. Look for the link in your email if you have your email notifications turned on. If you don't want email notifications, check the posts tab here on my YouTube channel. And it should be up in about, give me a half hour. Don't forget also, members, that we do a Thursday 3D printing live hangout. And then we also do a Saturday Zoom call where we just talk about food, music, war stories, you name it. I mean, life, the universe, and everything. And that's all part of being a channel member. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you'd like information on becoming a channel member, right below this video panel that you're watching me on, you'll see the word join. That's a link. Go ahead and click on that link. You're not joining anything. You're just getting information, because another video is going to pop up and play. It's going to tell you all about channel membership. We have a great group of people, and there's room for you too. We'd love to have you join us. You get access to the super secret WhatsApp group. You'll get access to the super secret Facebook group and Facebook chat. It's a fun group of people to hang out with, and we're all 100% dedicated into helping you succeed. Not an ego amongst these people. And they're some of the most generous people I have ever met in my life. So, and there's plenty of room. So come on in. The water's fine. Next Sunday. Don't know what I'm going to do. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you're tired of seeing. If I've talked too much about something. If I haven't talked enough about something. Let me know. I can't fix it if I don't know what's broke. This has never been about me. It's always been about you, and letting you know and letting you prove to yourself that you can do this. This is not above your head. So no question is too basic. Just let me know what you want to see. Other than that, I'll say thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you got in some shop time. And it's time to sit back and relax. Y'all take care. Have some fun. Or get out there and make some chips. Or sit down and eat some chips. It's up to you. Live your own life. Thanks again, everybody. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all take care.